Hi, it's Sarah here with Accelerated Health Products, and I'm here with Wade Lightheart from BiOptimzers, and we're going to talk about what it's like to start a supplement company. How does it work, and how did we get to where we are? And Wade, your story is very similar to mine, and I love the quote that you used from Tim Ferriss. You know, we have to scratch our own itches, right? With our entrepreneurial spirit. So maybe take us through what brought you to doing what you're doing now and the success of your company.
I'm going to go way back in the time machine. And when I first started in health and vitality way back as a teenager, you kind of just read magazines. At the time, there was no internet. And eventually you would just read about different products and they did this. And there was wild claims made about anything. It was a very unregulated world. And then I went to university and I started studying nutrition, exercise physiology, these type of things. And I was struck by the amount of conflicting information in research periodicals. At those times, you had to go in and look on this kind of like a plastic file. You'd have to go in and try and find the books, and it was very archaic. But I would find all these studies that maybe supported vitamin D, and then other studies that said that this didn't work, or like. And so I was like, this is confusing. We're getting opposing research information. And then at university, I found there was a lot of compartmentalized information, but no universal concepts. And then, so after university, I started working in the industry. I worked in gyms, I worked in retail stores and began to expand my knowledge. And then I started going into finding people who were producing results that I felt were extraordinary, doctors, researchers, athletes, these type of things, because I thought, it's so hard to kind of sort things out. Well, then when I got into, I opened a nutrition store and started to have a lot of success because of my approach of addressing from a high performance side, supplementation. And I had all kinds of reps would come by and, explain their products and the benefits and stuff. And then I would start noticing there were variances between what I was being told and how a product was being made. And then I was approached by a group of individuals, a group of businessmen who came through an associate of mine that I was coaching. And they said, we'd love to make a fat burning product. Would you like to get into the manufacturing of supplementation? I thought, oh my God, that'd be really great. It takes a lot of money, a lot of effort, I'm going to have these experts that are going to help me, right? And we're going to get some research behind it. And so I crafted what I thought would be a 3 different stage thing, because I knew about acclimation in the body. There was different mechanisms that I thought would work in helping aid people maintain a healthy body weight. And so I put the formula together on paper. And then it came to the next step. And I was living in Vancouver, Canada at the time, and I was flown down to California to meet the head of a major university. Their research, everybody would know the name of the university if I said it. I won't for purposes. And the individual said, well, we'll design a study that will support your product. We'll do it on bugs or whatever, and then we'll do an 8-week trial, and you pay us. It was in 6 figures, and we'll produce the result that you want. And I was like, so this works in bugs, but does it work in people? And you're kind of preemptively designing a study. This is not the scientific method I knew and learned. So it was, I was concerned. And then later that afternoon, I was taken to a manufacturing facility in California, which was producing a tremendous amount of the nutritional supplements in the field. We'll talk about that, extension on that, about white label products, or I call them Me Too products. So this was a PhD in nutritional science, and I toured the facility. It was really cool. It was my first time going inside and seeing things and, all that stuff. And I thought it was great. And then I casually asked the doctor, the PhD, I said, well, which supplements do you take? Which one of these things do you find that are effective for you? He says, well, I don't take any of them. I'm like, why not? He says, well, I'm not sure about the potency, the quality control, contamination. Most of our companies are building on, just on margins, and that it has those elements. They're not that concerned about it. And I was shocked And then I was then later, so this was a very shocking time for me. I was taken to in front of the board who were putting this product and this book. And so the book was going to be a dummies book. So for people who don't know, like blah, blah, blah for dummies. This was going to be fat burners for dummies. Well, what you can do is you can write a book and then you make a contract with the dummies people because it's a well-known brand, and they dumbify the book. They take your book and then they put all the dummy kind of stuff in there, which is illustrative and good for learning. And it's not a knock against the dummies. I think it's a great system. But so I went, wait a second. So you're going to take this information that I put together. You're going to get a bogus study. You're going to have products that you're not sure that are going to work. And then we're going to explain it in a dummies kind of program. And the biggest concern in that meeting was how much their marketing budget was and how much margin they were able to capitalize. And that was going to determine what the product. And even though it was a 7-figure deal for me, at least at that time, and I didn't have a lot of money or anything, I said, I'm out. This is crazy. But it was an inside look at the dirty side of the supplement industry. And that impacted me. A couple of years later, and that brought me to another level of just researching the companies and going to meet department heads and going to factories and seeing how things are built. And that was good. So I became a little wiser. And later on, when I started my company, which was the precursor to BiOptimzers, became rebranded a number of years later, Matt and I decided that we would only make products that worked, and that we would never base a product on margin. We would base it on the mission. And our mission was to end physical suffering and to bring the cost of biological optimization to make it affordable for everyone in the world. And it's not right now. It's not. Supplementation, healthy diets, and fighting against the trends of the world on disease, dysfunction, obesity, de-energization, and illness are significant. They are, I think it's a worthwhile investment if you look at the course of your lifetime, but it is an investment, and it's very difficult, especially with low-income people, on what they're doing, and that further compromises their cognitive health. But I said, if we can fix on the high end, if we can solve for that market, the people who are, buying stuff from us that were really motivated, that were, weren't concerned about the house and the car, they're concerned about the car that's carrying around their soul, which is their body, we'd go down that road. Now, the upside was we were able to produce products that were extraordinary and that really worked. The downside was they were at a premium price. Mm-hmm. And because of that, it limited our availability. Matt and I literally rolled every dime of profit that we made into the company and just reinvested it in the company. We didn't pay ourselves. I think it was, we were both trying to figure it out. It's somewhere between 10 and 12 years we never paid ourselves because we're just motivated by the mission of the company. And we fortunately had developed other sources of income in our life that we didn't require that. And piece by piece, year by year, we began to build and grow a brand following among because our products actually work. We also were able to provide education, because you need to be able to understand, your customer needs to understand how to separate a Me Too product versus a mission-based product. Mm-hmm. And that's a big difference. You could look at it, you go in a store and I see enzymes at $100, enzymes at $50, enzymes at $20. Same thing with probiotics, same things with minerals. And everybody has their angle at why their product is better. And so we slowly grew our company year after year, went through all the kids. We got great education and put those formats together. We built a great customer service. We backed it by a ridiculous guarantee, 365 days, money back guarantee, and all those things. And then something really unique happened. Social media changed our business in the aspect that people who became quote unquote influential individuals in various fields began to talk about our product, and that our product was better than other products, that it worked better, that they used it every day, that they overcame. So all the things we couldn't say in our marketing, all the things that we couldn't spend for marketing costs began to pay off, over a decade later, because all of a sudden people who had great resources and great followings began to say, these guys are making great stuff. And then that story spread, and then that opened up doors. And since that time, I think, during the last 5 years, we've literally doubled the company year on year. And so instead of having the challenges of struggling for growth, we now have the challenges of handling growth, which is a better set of challenges.
And that is a big challenge of having a supplement business. And, the social media part, I just want to emphasize, because when people ask me, well, how did you build your business? And it was a pain to purpose issue where I had my son and his cancer situation, and he was 9 years old, fourth grade, staring me in the eyes like, Mom, well, I don't know why you're crying. You're going to fix me. And that was the moment where I'm like, I don't care my failing health. I had Crohn's disease, PMS through the roof, PCOS, heavy metal toxicity, insulin resistance, all these issues. But when your child is suffering, you put yourself aside and you go, okay, what does he need? And that was the accelerated silver that I have now. And that was my one supplement. And I was selling that to friends and family. And I'm like, I've got something here, because within a year, the cancer cells were gone. His immune system was back. His cells looked so healthy and dark and plump and it was black and white within a year. And Wade, it's not easy to change a 9-year-old's diet. And I didn't even know much about diet back then. So I was doing the best I could, but I wasn't feeding him optimally. And even with that, his nutritional, you could see it at the cellular level. His nutrition was night and day. There were no signs of cancer cells. And in 10 years, not one of my 3 kids, nor my husband or I, have been on any antibiotics. We all tested positive at some point because we had to test, but not one of us had actually symptoms from COVID. So that tells you right there. But this supplement, I looked at him on the day that we went back for that revisit, and I go, oh my gosh, we've got something here. Mind you, all of my other mom friends are putting their 2-year-olds on steroids for a little cough, let alone steroid and antibiotic. Mm-hmm. And so I started out with one thing. I knew I had something special. I knew the shelves at the health markets were filled with other silvers, but I had something that took it to another level. And I didn't try to grow my business too fast, because it grew organically. And this was before social media. This was before anything. And this was also at a time where my health was not great. So my friends and family are looking at me like, Sara, who are you to say what's good for you or what's not good for you? So I had so many naysayers in my life. But my type A personality was like, no, my gut instinct is I've got something here and I need to share it with the world. And I'm going to share it with those people that are willing to listen and to hear me. I'm not going to waste my time on the population that is stuck in the paradigm that Western medicine is the only answer. Not that there's not a place for it, but there is a place for this alternative stuff. And like you, I knew that there was a lot of junk on the shelves and people are wasting their money, and you get what you pay for when you go to supplement stores. And just, it's one of those things, like if you're buying your supplements on Amazon, be very careful, because who knows what's going on there. I personally took my supplement line off of Amazon because I wanted to be in control of it. Even if it was going to limit my sales, I want to make sure that my reputation is protected. And reputation. And that's where you go back to the influencers. Your reputation, you started from day one saying, yeah, I'm not going to go down the road where I'm just going to go for the 7 figures. I'm going to protect my reputation, do something of quality, and it might be a slower build, but it's going to pay off in the end. And knock me for it, but I believe in karma. So you get what you pay for. And, it's just amazing what happens when you do improve someone's health. No dollar amount can be matched with that phone call or the email that says, Sara, you just saved my life, or you've turned my health around, or I'm a new human because of you. It's like, that's the day where I'm like, this is so worth it. And like you had your own, a separate income as you support the growth of your company initially to get it to a place where now it's taking off in amazing ways. I didn't have to support my family with my income. So I wasn't in a desperate spot, and I wanted to do it right the first way. And yes, 1,000 million mistakes along the way. I did not go to business school. I studied economics, yes, at Stanford, but the marketing and the tools of building a business in 2022 is night and day from what I would have learned anyways in business school or anywhere else 20 years ago, right? So it's just the vertical line of the learning curve. It's straight up, and you make mistakes, and you can't be afraid to make mistakes, and just trust that you're doing the right thing. And as you're holding on to knowing that you have integrity and you have the best of the best in whatever category that is. And I'm sitting here looking at the magnesium breakthrough of your product. And I'll just tell you, as far as this product goes, I have my line of accelerated health products that are all scalar enhanced with frequencies. That is my niche. And that is something that no other supplement brand carries. But a lot of my clients kept coming to me and saying, well, Sara, I hear that I'm supposed to take magnesium. What do you recommend? And I go, you know what? I don't carry one yet, because I haven't found one that just blew me away, because I didn't have to carry anything, Wade. I was in the position where I could just sit back, and I only wanted to offer the best of the best. I was not in a pressure cooker where I wanted to have 200 supplements. I wanted the best of the best, so that when someone came to me, they know that it's a one-stop shop for the best of the best for all areas of their health. And I've got my, the basic supplements that every human being needs, like a magnesium, like the accelerated iodine, like the accelerated keto for those who are wanting to do a low carb diet, but I then do carry the specifics where if someone is suffering from arthritis, they might need to add in one extra special formula, but really my focus is on supplements that can benefit 99% of the population. And I think that's where you guys are as well with your line. You go down to the basics of human biology, the basics of needing probiotics and enzymes and magnesium, and you make the best of the best. What I wanted a couple things that I wanted to touch on were, how did you navigate all the competition? Like where have you seen the biggest challenges with competition? Or did you just have the mindset of, you know what, I'm not worried about competition. I'm just focused on knowing that we've got the best of the best and just going to put one foot in front of the other?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. I think I had a couple advantages. I had been exposed to the industry first for an extended period of time as a consumer. Then I had a background that I studied. And then as well, I spent a lot of time going to all of the different supplement companies, the different trade shows, the different events at those times to get the lowdown on things, so I could understand the market per se and the variance between quality products and poor quality products. And so I think a lot of people that get started in the supplement industry or want to get started in the supplement industry, there's two types of people. One, that they're really motivated by a mission. They're personally passionate about this. They want to get started from a heart center. And then there's another group that wants to get involved because they think they can capitalize on a trend and make money. And I've been to the marketing events where I've seen the white label companies come out and basically like, hey, you know, let's say turmeric is the new trend or this essential fatty acid, and that'll happen due to the distribution of information and how those algorithmic cycles go. And we have that product. You can slap your label on it. We'll have you out in 8 weeks and you'll have your own brand and you can sell that to your list. And then, so there became an industry of Me Too products. Oh, we got that Me Too. And they're low grade. They're manufactured with that kind of margin-based mentality. And they're rolled out to markets by people who are more interested in how much money they make as opposed to, well, they have a quality product. So number one, as a consumer or as a manufacturer, you want to like, who am I? Who am I here to serve? And what is my mission to serve? So if you want to start a supplement company based on money, this isn't the call for you, right? Go somewhere else. And what's going to happen is you are going to be continually chasing new products and new serving, and you're going to run out. And social media has vaporized the reputation of so many people because they made the easy choice for money over duration. And in today's world, you get exposed, right? And that's a good thing. That's a positive cycle. The second thing that one has to realize is, and you said it too, and I think this is one of the advantages. If you're going to start a supplement company and you want to pick a product that you think that you can produce something better, and you want to have enough influence in your whatever methods that you have through your own following, your own practice, whatever, that you can at least support the production of the brand early on as you go through those difficult stages of business. The second thing is if you're in that stage, you're probably at some point going to require and determine, are you the business operator, or are you the marketer, or are you the influential spokesperson? Oftentimes you're doing all three. But at a certain point of the developmental stage, you are going to run into problem. You're going to run into an operations problem. You're going to run into a marketing problem. Or if you're solving those, you're not out there with the bullhorn kind of broadcasting that. So at some point, you're going to have to bring in some sort of operations system to manage. And most creative types, most people who are into this are motivated by passion, are generally not those individuals. So knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses and finding someone who acknowledges maybe the externalized passion that you have, that you want to tell the world about your miracle product, but having someone that can manage the back end, the shipping, the reorders, the customer service, the flow of how the business operates isn't great. And then eventually you're going to have to split off again and look at marketing. Now, during that process, you might decide that, well, you're not as comfortable being on the front end anymore. There's going to be people that will replace you there. Maybe you'll bring in marketers to assist you with the product from other companies, or who are fall-offs of other companies that left for those reasons. And so at various stages, there's this kind of inflection points, I think. Your first is you want to get enough money in the door that you can, as I support your own habit, because almost, usually you're buying this product and you figure out, oh, it's expensive. I'm going to start my own company and you get enough friends that you can kind of support the reorders. And oftentimes when we started, we'd have to go out to our list and say, hey, we're going to do another order in 2 months. You want to pre-order? And people would pre-order. We get enough cash in the door, make another one until we could make that more continuous. That's probably how you're going to start if you don't have money. One of the other options is that you bring in outside money as someone who wants to do that. When you do that, sometimes there's an advantage if that person has experience in the area and want to back you. I think that's great. So if they are in manufacturing or in marketing, one of those two areas, and they see that you have something that they're willing to work with you. So if they're going to work with you and you pick and control a contract manufacturer to produce your product for you, you're going to do the messaging, the other individual is going to do the marketing, then that's a time that you would be maybe willing to accept cash. Otherwise, and you'll grow quicker, but everybody needs to understand which part of the group that you are in, and you need to allow the person to operate that growth, and hopefully they'll have competency. So those are some of the early integrations. And then later on, you're going to be able, as you get into marketing, is you're going to have to really get clear of who your avatar is. Who is the person that you serve? If you're trying to serve all people, all things, it's very tough. There's a lot of noise out there in the world, and so it's easy to get lost in the noise. You might think that you're the unique and best, and maybe you are, but the person that's making a decision on a 2-second ad, or flipping through their social media or whatever, they might not make that chance. So pick who you're going to distribute to, pick the channels where they are, get your products in front of those places and those people. Make it a mission-based product, because a mission-based product will allow you to kind of survive those early disappointments and challenges that are going to come up in your business. Because, if you're on it for the mission, then you kind of get tested on all of those areas. And you got to pull through it, or otherwise you just get thrown on the ash heap of history of a whole bunch of other nutritional supplement companies. About 95% of the companies don't exist after 5 years, just to give you a statistic. So if you have a company that survives, it's almost always a mission-based company. And then the final piece I'll add to that is, at some stage we need to get to usually in the $30 to $100 million in revenue. So if you're going to the big channels, that's when you're going to have to make some institutional-based decisions that may be difficult as an owner. And so myself and other owners that have gone through that stage, you got to make a decision. You're generally away from operations the way you were. It's not customer centric to the same extent, or you're not interacting. So you're relying on managers and team members and spreadsheets and all of these other things. And many founders don't enjoy that process. So know when to step outside of that and go back to your passion again. So the passion stays saying, or keeping the culture in place is really good, because what happens is at that point, you also become a target for big institutional money. And I've seen so many great companies, get a great following, be a mission-based. The founder is like, I'm tired of all this stuff. I didn't get into this to be a spreadsheet and stare at my computer 14 hours a day and go through all this sort of stuff. They sell to a big multinational or to an investment firm that's conglomerating. And all of a sudden the company comes in, and 6 months or 12 months later, 18 months later, they've stripped out the brand, they've changed the product, they've cheapened it. They use it as a cash grab to inflate their capital valuation, because they had a multiple of 20 times, and your company was a cash generation machine. So they needed that cash to change the multiples. And they're just playing funky business. They don't really care about your company, your brand, or your mission. And I know founders who have seen their brand get destroyed after they live it. And they're like, oh man, I feel so bad. And, I see them milling around at events, and what do? They start up another little supplement company, right? On the side.
Right.
And I got all my friends in the industry. So I've seen the whole cycle. I've been old enough to see the whole cycle, and that's just some of the things you can expect.
Gosh, when you're talking, I'm sitting here going, yes, I've gone through that. I wear most of the hats. I love the creative content. I love writing my blogs. I love the research. I love the podcasting and teaching. I love the hand holding with some clients that, don't take too much of my time. And I love seeing the results. And, marketing is not my deal. That is one of the first things that I will, hire off. But it's also one of the things that I've had a hard time finding good employees and good workers. And that's something, Wade, where I don't know what it is right now, but it feels like people aren't wanting to work very hard. They're wanting to get paid, but they don't have the passion that you and I have. And so that is one of those things that I struggle with. And how have you handled that, where you need to obviously hire someone else to give you a hand and take over this or that? How do you do quality control of your employees and keeping them motivated and keeping them engaged in the mission? Because obviously, regardless of what person it is, they don't have 100% of your passion, right?
Correct. So this is where, using a couple of filters that, number one, I want people who are involved in the industry itself. They love the industry per se. That's one of my filters that we put in. Number two, it's better if they've been in a company that's been sort of what I would say had a poor culture and they felt the effects of that. So they want to be part of a great culture. Number three is using testing models for understanding how a person thinks, how they communicate, how much supervision they require, all of these things. And there are education models or testing models to preemptively select people. We use a variety of different ones. We put people through quite a gamut to get hired at our company. It's anywhere from 30 to 60 days of testing, depending on the decision, and a careful interview process, both within the department with various people after they've passed the testing to show that they have the predisposition and how they communicate. And then we go into that and then we see how they interact with other people. We also use that model to share with each of the people. So as they communicate through interdepartments, they understand who they're talking to, how that person likes to be communicated to, what's their formats and function, because most of the challenges within culturals of companies oftentimes deals with just different modes and values around communication, frequency, style, tonality, brevity versus extension. And Matt and I, what's interesting, we're very opposite. He's very short, very terse, very numerically oriented. I'm very social. I can ramble on, blah, blah, blah. I'm a storyteller. He wants data, so we naturally understood that there was a variance and we battled over that. But then once we put these tools in place, we were able to determine who would work well together. Did they have the credentials and capabilities? Were they oriented inside of our mission, and how we could bring them on and integrate it? And then of course, they would go through a trial period once they became hired to see if it was a fit for them and a fit for us. So putting those parameters of expectation. And then the other thing is regular reviews inside of the company, so that you want to get the person what we call in the right seat. So if any given person will have a variance between the skill level that they had. Now, early on in the business, you're going to need people who are a little bit more jack of all trades. But as the company grows, you're going to need more and more specialists in specific fields, and you're going to get a very big variance in personality types. You'll go through cultural shifts where some of the people who are with you early on won't like the way the company's moving towards, and you'll go through these. Those are very difficult times to handle as an owner or a founder, and you just kind of have to manage those things. So those are some of the mechanisms that we put in. And the next thing is we have a value system. We're very transparent. We show the entire company how much we made every single week, all the different departments that report. We have a philosophy that we reevaluate every year. We have a 10-year vision, a 3-year vision, a 1-year vision. We do company meditations and focus every single week as we do this. We have our recognition time where we give the coworkers recognize each other for a job well done or what they did, because they can get acknowledged. We try to develop within the departments we manage open feedback sessions. In other words, I want people not to give me the happy talk. I want to hear the hard truth, and I have no problem with that. And that could be about my own style personally, something that's happening professionally. And we try to eliminate end runs. One of the things that really destroy company cultures is if someone comes to me with a problem with somebody else, I'll listen to that. And then I'll ask them, well, are you going to tell this person or me? And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, that's an end run. And so if I'm trying to manage all of those different communications, which are natural in human conditions, how people are looking to bolster their own position and undermine other people's, it's human nature. Then I will also, whether they decide they're going to go to that person directly or indirectly or through me, I'll go interview the other person and get their feedback. And so what happens is I get very clear about what the difference is between both people's on the situation. And oftentimes I'll bring them into a situation, say, okay, guys, we seem to have a problem around this, 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 and this. And I've looked at this, and here's the area that the company can own. Here's some parts here. Let's discuss this so that we can all work together. Once you do that a few times, people start to resolving their issues, and they start moving away from an ego position, and they start to understand other people's position in the company. And that creates a great company culture where people share openly, and they began refocusing on the mission as opposed to trying to bolster the political aspects of where they are in the company and who they report to, or creating cliques and trends and stuff inside the company, which you want to avoid.
Amazing. I mean, I'm learning so much as my company's much smaller than yours, and I'm wearing all the hats, but trying to relinquish the control, which is very difficult. I mean, you feel like the company's kind of your baby, right? And you're letting other people in, and can you trust them, and what's their alternative motive and all of that. So it's very interesting the way you're talking. And with your last example, it just reminds me of my daughter's row for their sport crew. And whenever there's drama, because of course girls have drama, there's drama between two of the girls, the coach will make them carry 2 oars and have to go on a run together. And so they're literally having to figure out how to work together and let go of all the drama. And I love what you said about how to work within the troubled environment, if there is any. Wade, where do you see BiOptimzers going? What are your 3, 5, and 10-year goals?
Yeah. So I anticipate will be I've got it listed right here, probably sometime between 2025 and 2027 will be $1 billion brand at our current growth rates. And it might be before 2030 for certain, because growth rates change. One of the areas that we are accelerating, we just last year, for example, we purchased a small company with a founder who had all the struggles of a small company. Basically, they created great products, it solved a lot of problems. They were terrible at marketing, terrible at operations, but they had a loyal following of great issues, but they were getting bogged down with all that. So we took over that company, rebranded it, created a win-win situation for the founder, who was very excited to be able to partner with a company that had built out literally 2 decades worth of sophisticated systems that they needed. And then they got back into their zone of genius, which was developing world-class products. And now we brought them on also as a product development researcher, because the person's genius is extraordinary in this area. So they got a regular salary, which stabilized their economic picture. They got an operations team to come in and optimize every aspect of their production. They got a marketing team that accelerated the marketing. And we got someone who was very passionate, very mission oriented, and understood the challenges that they weren't able to grow past as a business. And that relationship has been awesome. And I will anticipate a couple things. That's allowing us to bring breakthrough research to market from people who have spent a lot of time on solving. So basically, it's the same story that Matt and I did with my digestive issues to start BiOptimzers. We're looking for people that are just like that we can come in and make a difference and put them in their zone of genius. So because it's a much more competitive marketplace now, advertising dollars, the industry's changed so much in 20 years, and it's being eaten up by big corporations. So that's one step. The second thing is we're becoming into kind of like the gold standard of reverse aging. So we're developing a line of and relationships around that. We've got a book coming out next year, which explains, we work with some household names in the entertainment industry. And we've been able to produce extraordinary results using the methodology that Matt and I have developed over the last 20 plus years, and as trainers and exercise officials and nutritionists, and having access to this. And so we have a book coming out next year that is going to end the dietary tribalism. It was picked up by a major publishing house. We're launching next year, including app, which we've built out apps, and it will help people classify what's best for them. So basically, I see that customized health, exercise, nutrition, and supplementation program focused on aesthetics, performance, and health, depending on where the person is on their kind of journey. And that changes as we get older, usually. So that's coming, as well as one of the areas that we're very passionate about is our next phase is securing both farming and manufacturing in the various countries that we find ourselves in expanding markets, particularly. I do feel, if you look at what's happening globally, the pressure on farmers, the pressure on food supply chains, the pressure on manufacturing, the buying up of farmland by multinationals who are connected to pharmaceutical and political lobbyists, which I think are very anti-holistic health experience, we'll go in that way. Ultimately, that's all of the things I think BiOptimzers are going for. So that's our big, hairy vision. In 25 years, we have a 25-year vision, which is we want to bring the price of biological optimization down so it's affordable by everybody. We're going to go from the high end down end, and we keep producing that. So that's kind of the methodology. And ultimately, I'll probably, I don't know if I've ever said this, I'll probably end up in the political side of things eventually, which is a messy field. But I think the biggest enemy to our market right now is regulation. And that's a minefield going into the political side because of the lobbyist groups and stuff. But we need to have vocal supporters that maintain our health autonomy and health freedoms. So at some point, they'll just make me, one of the guys that they roll out in the company every and then to tell the old stories. And I'll probably be dealing at the political level with how we maintain regulations overall, because this is a mission that's so passionate for me. And then also concordant to that, the education side for children. I'm working on a foundation right now that has a unique form of educating that teaches the child, that teaches for the individual child and how they learn and how they operate and how to manage themselves, so that they can be discerning in how they're exposed and take out information in the world. And that's something that I'm working on right now, which I'm very, with a group of interesting enough monastics from a spiritual organization that I work with. So that was inadvertently, considering I had all kinds of challenges with school.
Well, it's needed because I just saw in mainstream media that over 60% of college students self-identify with having a mood issue or depression. And it's the toxicity, the insulin resistance, it's the fear porn that's going on right now. And kids have no idea what to eat, what to do, supplements. It's amazing what I hear from my kids' friends. And my daughter just came home from a 4-week camp from rowing, and there were a couple cases of COVID. There were a couple cases of heat exhaustion and just getting the basic flu and cold in that, they're all in the dorm together. And she comes home, she goes, "Mom, I never got sick." And I said, well, imagine that. You're taking your supplements. Yeah, you're eating the dorm food, which is horrific, but she was making the best choices with what she got. Wade, what does your day look like? Everyone's thinking this is amazing, and he probably doesn't sleep, and he probably takes so much magnesium just to keep alive, right? And what does, with all that's on your plate, it's so hard to manage the ups and downs of like the growing pains, right?
Yeah.
What does your day look like?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking. Well, I try to create rhythms and cycles. I'm a systems kind of thinker, that I operate within certain parameters very well. So I get up in the morning, I do my meditation, and I do my exercise program first thing, because the day can get away from you really easily. So I have all of that completed, and I'm down and I've eaten and everything, and I'm down in front of my desk at 9 a.m. I have a wall around my morning routine. Some people are evening routines. I'm a morning routine person. I need to get up and do that. If I because we're international, I have people literally working on almost every time zone in the world for the company, and they all want your time, and they would set times that it's 7 and 8. And I ran into health issues a number of years ago by burning it, living out of my laptop lifestyle. I can remember being in Bali, Indonesia, taking my team meetings at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then be up in the morning doing my exercise, and then coming in at 9 a.m. And then in the afternoons, I'd be passing out on the massage table to kind of keep myself going. And then I'd be up and be doing evening presentations for the afternoon audience in various places. So I have an assistant who's in Europe, and I have her in Europe because she gets ahead of my day before. If there's any dysfunctions that happens in my day, she's got that information over to me when I come to my desk a few minutes before 9. I come in and check, what's my day? Has anything changed? Where are we on that cycle? She has a Google Calendar that she puts everything that's color coded with the different departments. Each of the departments that I'm responsible for, I have a regular weekly meeting with. So for example, sales, customer service, operations, finance, those departments, I have a regular meeting, set time every day. We just don't miss it. Then I have spaces where I fit on presentations like this with my podcast schedule. And my podcast schedule, which is a big part of our business, that's all controlled, and that's a little bit more dynamic and a little bit challenging because you're trying to get people who are really busy to meet up on that side of things. And then I have other spaces where we fit in the what I call, like the discovery meeting. So you're meeting either with lawyers or product development or manufacturing things or technicians or professionals in the industry or whatever. You're picking what trade shows that you might go to, all of that sort of stuff. That's all filled in those spaces. And so I go pretty much wall to wall from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day, just rock solid. I take Sundays off. Sunday's a day that I don't work for any reason, unless I'm on a trade show or I'm traveling for some reason. I learned that as well. That's my spiritual day. That's my rest day. That's my recovery day, that sort of stuff. I've built my facility. So my studio's downstairs. So I live upstairs. I have a gym on my roof, and I have my studio production thing. So I entertain myself. I entertain my friends. I entertain my groups. I work down here. And then when I'm done, I close up the door and come back. And then at that 3 o'clock time, oftentimes I'll have stuff that I need to do in the evenings, that 5 to 7 range. So if I do that, what I'll do is I take a little walk. I live here in Venice Beach. I walk down to Bulletproof and I go into the labs, and I'll do my therapies. I'll do my cryo. I'll do, the big squeeze, lymphatic drainage. I'll do ad cell training, all of these different hacks. And I have hacks in myself. So I spend probably, let's see, first thing. So we got a half-hour meditation. We've got an hour to an hour and a half of training. Then my business cycle for 6 straight hours flat out. Then I go for another relaxation walk. I jump back in to some biohacking for approximately an hour, walk back. So that whole cycle is an hour and a half. Come back in, make sure I got my meals are all planned out. So I just it's just predetermined. I go get this, I go get this. It's relatively the same. And then my variance time is that evening time where I will take on extraneous stuff occasionally if I have to. And I come in and then I do my study and stuff in the evenings of whatever I'm into. So that's my day.
Amazing. Yeah, what I've found, I mean, I've got to be a wife and a mom and fit that in as well. And so I have to make sure that meals are easy. People
Yes.
say, well, the way you eat, Sarah, how I don't cook that way. And I'm like, look, my dinners have to be done within 15 to 30 minutes. I take care of my morning routine and no one touches that time. And
Yes.
I might do some phone calls or something if I'm in a sauna or something like that, but at the same time, that is my time, even away from my kids and my husband, right? So
Mhm.
and because everything can go haywire the rest of the day, and at least I can say I've taken care of myself. And my power hours are right after that. And I'm about the same as you, 2 to 3 p.m. I'm done. I need to go take a walk, maybe take care of my dogs, do some breathing, jump in a pool, whatever it is to make sure I'm mentally in a good space. And I have people working in Australia and all different time zones. And so in the afternoon, evening, I need to be answering some emails and doing some of that stuff too. So it is very similar, but at a different level. So that's awesome. And it's really important, as people can hear from both of us, that if you're not taking care of yourself, your work is going to suffer, and it shows. And it's something that I've had to learn, because as you're going through the growing pains, you're going to be overextended, and you have
Yeah.
to protect yourself as you're doing that. Before we finish, is there anything that I have not touched on that you want to make sure we do?
Yeah, I forgot to mention one area that I think we're leading there, and we created a partnership with the Birch International University. We have 15 PhDs and master students in microbiome research. We're headed to what our head researcher says is the post antibiotic era in the next 10 to 20 years, and that antibiotics, which have saved millions of lives, have been overprescribed and overutilized. And now we're becoming resistant to them as a species. All these bacteria resistant strains are happening and causing all sorts of havoc. And this has been confirmed by my friends in the medical industry, including Dr. Horst Filzer, who runs, he was the guy who put the first stent in the body, a vascular surgeon from Harvard, interesting guy. And he runs a wound healing clinic in Bullhead City. He's like 80 now, and he's still at it. And he says it's a big issue in surgery. Surgery has advanced so much, but now they have infection issues and stuff. So we have a research team, and I think what we're going to see is we'll be issuing out a bunch of patents next year with our breakthroughs to really solidify and move into the market in a way that is completely defendable under the highly regulatory aspects that we're all facing in the future. And I guess I would say for all our listeners, if you're in this field, you need to get vocal on the political level. There are virtually every country I know is issuing these radical regulatory components that are making it very difficult for companies like yourself and myself to operate under. And so be active. Don't let the information wash over you. There is a death by 1,000 cuts methodology. I'm come from Canada. The regulatory bodies in Canada stripped away access to so many great products in Canada. The industry has collapsed essentially, as well as in other countries under the Codex Agreement, which is also coming here to America. America, we have more health freedom right now, but it's being taken over by special interest groups from people that don't have their health. They want to put you on a medicine for the rest of your life. So be aware, go outside of the mainstream channels of information, which are bought and paid for by those organizations, and get educated. And I would say also, if you can get self-reliant as much as possible with the acquisition of high quality food in your local area or the production of your own food yourself, do it now, not later. The times are coming where it's going to be even more valuable to do so. Those are some suggestions I would make to our listeners out there.
100%. I mean, if you have not woken up to what's going on already and just where it's going, it's coming unless we speak up. The nice thing is that people are speaking up, but we just need to get more people speaking up. right?
Yeah, I'm a short-term pessimist and a long-term optimist. I think we are going to move to an extraordinary state of being, but it may be a decade or so before we get there, and it's going to be a little bumpy ride. So supplement up, take care of your health, be around good, positive people, and stand up for your rights and your freedoms, or someone will take them from you.
A wonderful way to end. I kudos to you, and I absolutely agree. Well, thanks, Wade. This has been awesome. I know I've learned a lot, and hopefully what we both have shared has helped everybody out there. You can find Wade at just search BiOptimzers. They're everywhere, and you can find me at SaraBantaHealth.com and reach out to us and see how we can help. We love to educate both of us on both the health side and the business side. So thanks, Wade. We will see you again, obviously, very soon.
Thanks, Sarah.